Hello everybody, welcome back to another reasonable price prediction, the series where we try to figure out where your favorite altcoin could be headed. Now today we are back with Near Protocol, and it's been a very long time since we've looked at Near, long overdue. So we're going to start by taking a look at basically the patterns that Near has followed during, well, the current cycle really. We have very little data on Near Protocol. I thought it was a much older coin for some reason, that we had, at least one cycle's worth of data to work with, but we actually don't. It's very new in terms of, well, how long it's been around. So getting straight into it anyway, we can see Near launches, big sell-off. That's not too uncommon, especially as it wasn't during a bull run, realistically. And this was sometime after the halving as well, where a lot of altcoins also saw a bit of a correction right up until basically the start of 2021. That's when things really took off. Near Protocol also took off during this time. It launched basically just at the start of the bull run, and this led basically to a 1300% move to the upside. Like we see here, this white arrow shows we have a strong pullback, and something to be aware of, this isn't COVID or anything like that. It's just a strong pullback during the bull run, and then we have another strong move to the upside of a similar percentage move from our low that we visit. And if we take a look at how far Near Protocol moves in kind of the total range from its low to its high, Near does a 40x, roughly, if you bought at the best price and sold at the best price as well. Now, what we're currently going through with Near, of course, it's a different market cycle, but we are seeing some similarities. First of all, I've marked this low with an orange circle, which is most likely our low for what this coming bull run is going to be. I can't see Near Protocol revisiting these lows, at least not for the next few months, as prices continue to appreciate and do well. And how far we've moved currently, our current price, or at least from low to high, is about a 900% move from this low to this high. So we can see that already, comparing it to the last move that we had like this, we're still a ways away from having an exact duplicate happen. And we're currently trading at basically just under $8. We're $7.60, with our kind of wick to the top side just coming up to $9 more or less. And if we were to see a similar move like we did last cycle, where we have a strong move to the upside, a 1300% move to the upside, that would put us at around $12, just basically under $13, $12.70, which isn't far at all from Near's all-time high of about 21 cents. So currently we're a third, give or take, just over from the all-time high. We're a third of the all-time high. If this move wants to play out how it did last time, it would bring us to over half, somewhere around 55, 56% of the way there. Now, does it have to play out this way? Not at all. There's no guarantee that it will. But again, it's always something to be interested in, especially with the limited data that we have from Near. I think it's very useful to sort of compare these to see what is a possible scenario. If we were also going to follow the general idea that it is going to follow in similar long-term patterns, we could potentially see a pullback. And last cycle, I think that purple is supposed to be here, we saw a rejection basically at the price we are now. We had our weekly closes around the $6.70 mark until we ultimately saw a rejection. Now we kind of, if we zoom in, we can see we've gone above this. We've gone quite far above this price. So maybe it's not going to play out at the same price in terms of where the resistance is. It could be, again, a percentage terms move, like we spoke about, again, at this sort of $12, $13 range. Who knows? But ultimately, we can see that it hasn't played out exactly the same so far. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't find a resistance here, drop below this line, and basically get a rejection, like we saw last time. And if we do get a rejection of similar proportion, we saw that we dropped 80% basically here from this support, or just above. If we take 80% move from here, it would put us back to around the $2 Near level, the $1.80 Near level. I think this is very unrealistic. I don't think this will happen. Even though we saw this kind of a move during one of during one of crypto's strongest bull runs, and we had a strong correction still, basically midway through, I can't see this happening again, especially the way that Near has been leading the charge with these rallies, along with other coins like Solana, Rune, Avalanche. I personally just don't see a huge correction taking place like we saw last time. That doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just something that I personally don't see. But hey, if you want to hold out for sort of a sub $2 Near in the next potentially couple of months, that's totally your prerogative. You can do that. That's, it doesn't affect me at all. And ultimately, these videos are just supposed to be putting information in front of you. You decide what you do with that information. But anyway, if we move from these lows again and get a similar move like we did last time, we'll say 1200% from the prices that NEAR could drop to, hypothetically, it would ultimately put us at a $23 NEAR if we basically have the same moves. Basically, if we follow the exact same pattern as last time. Now, I doubt this will happen. I think it's foolish to assume the exact same thing will happen, even over the long term. And I know with a lot of altcoins and Bitcoin, you can zoom out and basically see the same thing happen every cycle. And while I still believe that is true, I don't think we're going to see a strong correction like this. We could, it's not unusual, but I don't think we'll see something as strong, especially with it NEAR, with the current narrative that it has, being one of the stronger alts. I think we will most likely, however, see another strong move like this at some point whenever we get our bull run, a nice strong move to the upside. But I'm honestly not sure when that will be. The halving could be a catalyst for either a downward or an upward move. I would presume an upward move, as historically the halving has done well for the price of basically every cryptocurrency, at least in the short term. So again, do what you will with this information. I'm going to remove this so that potentially we'll see next time we review NEAR if this sort of 13% move does hold up. And if it does, we can put more weight behind the similar cycle repeating itself pattern. Again, I think this bull run will be far different to what a lot of people expect. I think Bitcoin will probably be one of the better performers, personally, in the long term. However, I do think that a lot of altcoins will still go crazy. Like we've seen the meme coin craze kind of take place a couple of weeks ago. Meme coins are usually one of the last things to rally in a bull run environment, because we talk about how money moves down the risk curve. So it moves into Bitcoin, that's the lowest risk in the crypto space. Then it moves into Ethereum, then it moves into higher cap altcoins. And this is happening as each asset does well. So when Bitcoin does well, like it has this last year, investors start to think, okay, we've seen a lot of good price moves with Bitcoin. It's probably hasn't got too much left in the tank in terms of percentage move. I'm much better moving into something like Ethereum now that will probably give me a higher percentage move. And after Ethereum does a 3x, when Bitcoin does a 1.5x, they go, okay, I've done well with Ethereum, move into Cardano, move into Solana, move into Avalanche, that sort of thing. And usually meme coins are at the very end of that list. However, we've kind of seen them, it seems to have gone Bitcoin, a couple top alts like Solana and Avalanche, and then straight to meme coins, which is very, very interesting in my opinion. It's very new. And I think it does show that we're not in the same type of bull run here, where instead of steady money constantly being put into the markets and that money slowly moving down the risk curve, we now have a huge lump sum of money coming into the market, going straight basically into BTC, and then with kind of no kind of follow-up, people have gone straight to the riskiest asset because they don't see the same thing happening. There's not the constant stream of money making its way down. There's one lump sum, makes its way into Bitcoin, say X amount of that percentage-wise goes into Ethereum, but we haven't even really seen that. Ethereum's done very poorly. So I think a lot of people have just gone straight into meme coins with the hope that if anything's going to rally, it's them. And they have. So, you know, if you put money and made money with meme coins, congratulations. That's beyond the scope of this video. Ultimately, halving does well for most altcoins. It's not unusual to see some sort of a correction after the halving, but usually prices before the halving are the best you're going to get after the halving. So buying before the halving historically is much better than buying after the halving. Now there's no way that this is guaranteed to hold up this time. Anything can happen. We could see a retracement with NEAR, especially if we have a type of move like this. We could come down to this sort of $4 level if we have a seriously catastrophic move of 50% to the downside. Who knows? I sure as hell don't. It's just interesting to see how it's moved before and how it could potentially move again. Now, looking at the Bitcoin pair, a bit of a different take than what I usually would do with the Bitcoin pair. I'm basically checking the lows and the highs and how NEAR Protocol handled them. How did NEAR Protocol take these lows and highs? And the first thing that stood out to me was that when I was drawing these lows here, you have these big bowls at the start where we spend long periods of times at these lows, then we spend long periods of times at these highs, and then as we move up in price, we spend less and less time at these prices. Things become more volatile in a more compact period of time. So you can see, like here, we only spend 4 or 5 weeks kind of within this range. And then down here, we only spend about 3 weeks, and then we rocket up, and when we get to our all-time highs, we literally spend 2 weeks, nothing. What is interesting to me at the moment is, while we do start off in a similar way, we have, you know, these long drawn out time frames. Our first top is very short-lived, very short-lived. And we do have a slow enough kind of bowl after that, but realistically it's not really that long, especially not compared to like the first few that we had here. And then, you know, we've had another rally up. So if we're going to take this second blue as our second blue, we could expect a very strong move against Bitcoin over the next few weeks. If we take a look at how far this one rallied from the top of the blue to the bottom of the red, or to the top, we'll say, to the weekly close, it made a 200% move. What we're currently at, you know, is a 50%, so another 4x move basically. That would put us at a price of around 20,000 Satoshis, which again is not impossible, but I think we will see reduced volatility, especially on the Bitcoin pair. But again, going back to kind of the main interest, we've seen these reduced timeframes and realistically reduced volatility. It's not moving as much as we thought it would. And now we're still getting these bowls that are quite big, but the sort of resistances are capping out much quicker. And to me, that's a little worrying. It kind of shows that there's not a lot of fight once we get to these highs. NEAR gives up quite quickly. And this was common when we were at extremely elevated prices, because you need a lot more money, you need a lot more people to fight at these levels to keep the price elevated. And, you know, when you're at the peak of the bull run, that's normal. These people are kind of, they spent all their money already, and the people who are buying are kind of basically the bag holders. And well, there will be a lot of them, but at the very top, there's not going to be many of them, because everyone who already knows about crypto has bought crypto. And we're kind of seeing a very similar thing here. And also, the retail investment isn't here this cycle or this bull run yet. It could come. I don't think it will because of kind of monetary policy at the moment with high basis points. But we're already seeing these struggling peaks. And now that the strong price action that follows it is a good sign. Like, it means that we can go to the upside. And you never know, this could just be a strange, weird coincidence. Like, oh, maybe we had a weird, short-lived resistance here, and next time we'll have a much longer one. Who knows? But what we also didn't see really until we were at higher levels was these arches converging, like meeting. So we would put in a resistance, and then also our support bowl would be fairly close to each other. We didn't have that the first few times, and we did have it as well the last time as well. If I very quickly sort of draw one here, I know it's going to be the wrong color. Again, as time kind of goes on, they get closer to each other because again, things become more compact, more condensed. This one is extremely close. In fact, it's the closest we've kind of ever really seen. You could make a case for this being taller, bring it up closer. This one could be lower, whatever you want. There's a lot of ways you can draw this, but for me, it kind of stood out that the fact that our first kind of wick and support were already with each other, and they're already short, concise price movements in a short, concise time frame. Just something to be aware of. Again, we kind of had our first arch here at 11,000 Satoshis. We have gotten back up to this 11,000 Satoshi point, and we've actually met a resistance there. So we could very well see another resistance at this point. We could very well see another arch. If we do, which I think is very possible, I would see that as kind of bearish for NEAR on the Bitcoin pair. To have two rejections very close to each other, whereas before we had always very strong moves to the upside before getting these arch resistance lines that we would meet. To have one so close to the previous one, along with the anomaly of having them so close together, I think would paint a very bearish picture. It is possible that, you know, obviously that trend flips and we just see great price action from NEAR in the future. Again, something to be on the lookout for. It can go either way. And realistically, if you're watching this video, you're probably holding NEAR for at least, you know, a few months before considering selling. You might not be, but I assume you are. Or you're looking for an excuse to buy NEAR. Your excuse to hold off on that could be that we come to this resistance like we did last time. We had a serious correction at this price last time. It's also coming up to the halving where it's kind of 50-50 whether an altcoin will outperform Bitcoin during this time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Do you want to take that 50-50 and hope that it goes lower on the Bitcoin pair? Or do you want to kind of just buy now? Because if you're buying now, realistically, NEAR is probably going to do well, you know, over the next few months at least, I would assume. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know for sure, but historically with altcoins, that's what's happened. After the halving, there's usually good price action, followed by a correction, followed by the rest of the bull run. But again, that's something you need to research properly yourself. I feel like I've waffled on for way too long, so I'm going to end the video here. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. That's totally fine too. Comment down below what I could have done better, or if you spotted something that I didn't. Also, let me know of what's coming up with near the protocol itself. I'd like to kind of not let upcoming milestones affect my price analysis, because I like to look solely on the charts. So if you think there's something that's coming up that could change this in a bullish or bearish way, let me know down in the comments. I'd be very interested to know. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care and peace.